Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She did it smooth. I pushed the door open after a long Friday, and Erin, at the kitchen island, slid her phone under a folded towel like it was a napkin she didn't need. The screen was still lit. She smiled without showing teeth. "Hey, you're late." "Traffic," I shrugged, hanging my keys on the hook. "What's with the towel?" "Water spill. Don't worry about it." The kettle clicked. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and takeout she'd already eaten. My plate was in the fridge with a sticky note that said warm it up, like a command you put on a vending machine. "Rough day." I leaned on the counter. "Normal," she answered, looking past me. "Kara's been a mess. I might swing by later." I didn't push. Married 10 years. You earn the right not to grill every shrug. I told myself privacy isn't guilt. People keep messages to themselves. If I'd known where that kind of optimism was headed, I would have treated that towel like a fire alarm. I warmed the food, ate standing, watched her type under the towel with her elbows too still, and convinced myself to be decent. Decent turned out to be expensive. The next morning she came downstairs on a phone call, the helpful kind of whisper that's meant to be overheard. "Yeah, I told him we'll skip the cookout," she said to whoever was on the line. "He won't mind. He hates small talk." I poured coffee. News to me. She cupped the microphone. "Relax. Linda's cookout is a waste of time. It's just burgers and HOA gossip. Linda invited us last month. I told Dean we'd swing by. He and I have tickets for the preseason game afterward. You can see Dean anytime," she answered. "We need a weekend. Just us." There was a tone on the last words, like a sale was already made. I set the mug down. "All right. New rule," I told her, not loud. "My calendar doesn't get erased by surprise. I keep my commitments. If you want a weekend, plan it with me, not over me." She laughed, but her eyes didn't. "Oh, now we have bylaws. Call them manners." I took out my phone, texted Dean. "I'm still in for Linda's, doors at 2. Manage your part however you want. I'm not flaking on people to look romantic." She clicked her tongue. "You forgetting we're married?" "No. I remember it every time you decide for both of us." She didn't like the pushback. She turned the faucet on like a curtain. "Whatever. Do what you want. You always do." I stirred the coffee. "That's the point." She moved around me with a slow ballet that said I was in the way in my own kitchen. "If we go," she added, "please try not to lecture everyone about budgets and trucks. They don't need your dad talk." "Don't worry. I'll stick to potato salad." She smiled sideways, slid that phone into her back pocket, and kissed the air near my cheek. "We'll see." On the driveway, she paused to check the screen again. New perfume, new energy, an old shirt worn like a costume. I loaded the cooler into the bed of the truck and watched her text with both thumbs, smiling down like it was telling her a joke only she deserved. My weekend just got interesting, and not the kind of interesting that fixes anything. Linda's yard was already full by noon. You know the type: folding tables, coolers, the neighbor who acts like he invented grilling. Erin worked the fence line like a politician, light on touch, heavy on eye contact. Dean slapped my shoulder. "You look like a tax seminar," he grinned. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I told him, tilting my chin toward Erin. "We're in a phase. Aren't we all?" Kara materialized out of nowhere, braid over one shoulder, sunglasses the size of saucers. She and Erin hugged like synchronized swimmers. "Finally," Kara said loud enough. "You got away from spreadsheets." Erin smirked. "Don't start." He's in new rules mode. Linda, carrying a tray, caught the tone and laughed to please the moment. "New rules? We're doing that now." "It's cute," Erin went on. "He's got a charter." He announced it over coffee. I set a bottle on the table, looked at the circle, jumped in before the paint dried. "Yep. Rule 1. If you make plans, you keep them. Rule 2. Stop pretending I hate people to get out of your own RSVPs." That wasn't the script. Erin blinked. Kara smiled like she smelled rain. "Someone's touchy." I faced Erin. "Don't use me to cancel what you don't want to attend." She gave me a puff of laugh. "Relax. Nobody's judging. We're joking." "Good. Then we're done with this joke." I pointed to the cooler. "Take the deviled eggs. I'm leaving early for the game with Dean. You want a ride?" you ask. "I'm not standing in your corner just to be heckled." Dean raised his hands. "I'll drive if this is a thing." "It's not a thing," Erin said, but her voice edged. "You're blowing nothing up." Linda stepped in with hostess courage. Eat first, fight later. I'm not fighting, I answered. I'm adjusting. Aaron stared at me over the rim of a plastic cup. Could you not do your headmaster voice in my social life? I looked at Dean. You hear a headmaster? I hear a married guy who learned to email, he deadpanned. I took a breath, found the line. Let me be clear, I told Aaron, without heat. I'm not your punchline. I won't sit here while you build your stock by cutting mine. Last time we had this conversation, it didn't stick. So here's the consequence. I'm leaving in 10. You can come, or you can ride with Kara. Your call. Kara shrugged. I can drive her. Great. I wiped my hands on a napkin and shook Linda's hand. Thanks for hosting. Save me a plate. Erin rolled her eyes, but I caught the flash. Anger with a splash of worry. Control hates company. She wasn't used to me setting public boundaries, especially where her audience could see it. 10 minutes later, as promised, I walked to my truck with Dean. Erin didn't follow. Bold, Dean muttered as we buckled in. Not bold, I said. Just over being drafted into skits. He whistled. You coming back for her? She's got options. We pulled away. In the side mirror, Kara hugged Erin and whispered near her ear, hands tight on both arms. I didn't like the choreography. I didn't like it at all. The ride that brought Erin home that night wasn't mine. She came in quiet, later than the game ended, shoes in her hand, phone face down on the table. She made a sandwich like peace, then walked it to me on the couch. I was out of line earlier, she said. I'm just tired of adulting. Don't be mad. I didn't perform forgiveness. I ate the sandwich. Fix is simple, I told her. When you want to make a joke, use your own name. When you want a weekend, ask for one. When you want a ride, schedule it. She nodded too fast. Okay, noted. Her phone buzzed against the wood like a finger drumming. She didn't move. We both listened to it go on, 3 beats too long. Who's that? I asked. Kara, she said without checking. She's miserable about her guy. Hope she figures it out. She will, Erin answered, and turned the phone screen down again. I put the plate in the sink and let the silence sit. People tell you who they are in the dead air. You just have to listen long enough to hear it crack. Late Tuesday, I woke up without knowing why. The house had that weird stillness of 2 a.m. I checked the clock. 2:13. The hall light was on under the door. Erin's side of the bed was empty. I waited for a bathroom flush. Nothing. Front door hinges have a sound. Both quiet and ridiculous, like a kid sneaking cookies. That sound. Then the soft double click of the latch. I sat up. No panic. No scene. Jeans. Hoodie. Boots. I took the spare keys and stepped out to the driveway after a count of 30. The street was a row of sleeping windows. Her sedan was gone. I opened the truck door and didn't slam it. Habit. The engine turned over with a low cough, and I rolled out slow, 2 houses behind invisible. People think following is dramatic. It's not. It's signals and turns and a little patience. She took the main road to the edge of town, past the gas station, past the storage place with the flickering sign. She didn't turn toward Kara's condo. She kept going to the highway, then off again to a strip with an old neon vacancy sign that had seen better years. I parked down the block behind a landscaping trailer and watched her pull into the second lot, where the numbers on the doors are faded and the soda machine makes a noise like a refrigerator dying. She didn't see me. She didn't look around. She checked her phone and walked straight in. No need to narrate the rest. The picture took itself. I didn't honk. I didn't bang on anything. I sat until the dashboard clock stole 20 minutes I would never invoice to anyone. Then I drove home. In the driveway, I looked at our house, at the upstairs window that held our bed, and locked my jaw around a simple sentence. Respect doesn't survive this. I brewed coffee at 4:20 like a retiree who'd lost track of time. At 6 I showered, dressed, and left a note on the island. Early start. At 8, I parked by the county building, filled out the forms the clerk slid under glass, and scheduled what grown people schedule when a line isn't crossed but erased. No courtroom speeches. Just signatures, dates, and a man who stopped giving discounts. Back at work, I locked my office cabinet, boxed my vital stuff, and changed the code I'd stupidly shared. I moved my tools from the garage to my shop. I stopped the shared card and rerouted the insurance auto-pay to my account with a polite email. Effective today, we will handle expenses separately. Send your part by the 5th. I told Dean I needed the spare room for a couple nights. I didn't cry in his garage. Dean would have just handed me a rag and looked at the floor. "You're sure?" he asked. "Yeah. You gonna talk to her?" "When there's something to say." I went home early, cooked chili because I needed the house to smell like something I chose, and greeted Erin at 5:30 like men greet after a random Tuesday. She was bright, too bright. "I'm sorry about some of my tone lately," she offered as she dropped her bag. "Work's been chaos. Also, I thought we could do a date night Friday." "My treat." "Nice," I said. "I'll check the calendar." She looked surprised at the phrase "my calendar," then forced a grin. "I'll text Kara. Tell her I'm off the grid. She'll survive." "Sure," she said, digging in her bag. "Do we have any of those candles left?" "In the drawer by the oven." "Perfect," she chirped. "Okay, I'm taking a shower." "Do it." I stirred the pot. Steam fogged my glasses. She kissed the air near my temple and disappeared. My phone buzzed in my pocket, short and impersonal. "Your documents will be ready for pickup tomorrow by 3 p.m. I read it twice, like it might change if I stared harder. By sunrise, a boundary had died. The next move was mine. Wednesday, she swung by my shop with a brown bag and a sweetness that didn't fit her mouth. "I brought lunch," she said, setting it on my workbench. "Turkey, no mustard." "I remember." "That's specific," I replied, wiping my hands on a rag. Marta, my office manager, peeked out of her doorway and clocked the scene with the speed of a woman who's seen 15 marriages from the paperwork side. She disappeared before it got awkward. Erin held her posture like a yoga pose. "We've been off lately." "I don't like it." "I don't either," I told her. "I like clarity." She nodded at the metal cabinet. "You changed the code?" "I did. Couple of my clients requested tighter controls." "You could have told me." "I just did." She laughed like she found the wrong door. "Right. Okay. Friday's still open?" "Maybe. I need to confirm some pickups." "Could you not be cagey?" "I'm trying here." "I see you trying." She reached across the bench, palm up. "I miss us, Mark." "Then stop stepping on me in public." "That was one time." "It's a pattern." I said I'm sorry. "Noted." Her jaw tensed. "So what else do you want from me?" "Nothing," I answered. "I want what I'm doing." Her phone lit her bag from the inside. She pretended it didn't. I glanced at the screen reflection on the metal. No name, just a number. She pushed the bag closer. "Eat," she insisted. "At least let me do that." "I will," I said. "And we're making one more change." "What now?" "As of this month, we split costs. Half the groceries, half the house utilities, half the extras. I sent you a spreadsheet with line items. Pay your share by the 5th, and we're clean." Her eyebrows lifted. "Since when do we nickel and dime?" "It's not nickels. It's clarity." "So you're punishing me because I made a joke at Linda's?" I shook my head. "You can frame it how you want. My side is boundaries and clean books." She drew in air like she was going to argue more, then pivoted. "Fine. You want clean? Friday's on me. I'll text Kara, she's off my radar. We'll do dinner. We'll talk. No phones." "No phones sounds good," I said, keeping my face steady. She stood straighter like she'd earned something, then touched my shoulder with a squeeze from the catalog of affection moves. "Okay, I'll see you tonight." Marta reappeared as Erin left, arms crossed, eyes not unkind. "You need anything?" "I'm good." "You sure?" "I'm sure." Marta nodded like a judge. "She's running plays." "Stay boring." "Plan to." My phone buzzed at 2:47. "Your documents are ready for pickup." I closed the office early and drove to the county. 10 minutes later, I walked out with a manila envelope and a face that didn't show anything. That evening, Erin was sugar. She cooked. She set the table like a magazine. She asked about my day with follow-ups. You could feel the effort like a heavy sweater. When we were done, she loaded the dishwasher without size and turned on the small lamp in the corner she always said made the room warmer. "I'm going to call Kara real quick," she said, wiping her hands. 2 minutes. "In the yard," I said, nodding toward the back door. "Reception is better." She smiled like that was adorable and stepped outside. I watched her through the glass. She angled her body away from the door and covered her mouth with her hand while she talked, a habit you learn in loud bars and never unlearn. When she came back, she was all softness again. "Kara says hi." "Return it," I said, and stacked the plates. My phone, on the counter, lit up with her text at 9:14 p.m., 15 minutes after she said goodnight and went upstairs. "I think I'll stay at a friend's tonight." Girl talk, silly movie. "Don't worry." I stood in the kitchen and read it twice, 3 times, The language of people who do not want to be asked anything. Don't worry. It's the phrase you use when you plan to do exactly what triggers worry. I typed, didn't know your friend lives in a motel. Hit send. Set the phone down like I was placing a tool. Then I moved. I took the manila envelope from my work bag, rested it in the center of the dining table, and put a black pin on top, like a quiet exclamation point. I packed a gym duffel with clothes, toothbrush, chargers, my passport, the spare title copies I'd already locked in the shop. I took my watch and the photo of my dad from the bookshelf. On a card I wrote 8 words. This was your choice, not mine. And I left it with the envelope. Dean texted, gate code is 6752, key under frog statue. I turned off the lights one by one. In the hall I paused and looked up the stairs. I didn't feel noble. I felt done. Her response came fast. Wait, what? Where are you? You home. Then a call. I watched it ring without touching it. Saw her name bloom and fade like a lighthouse on a coastline I no longer had to crash into. Another text. I'm coming back. Please. I put the phone on Do Not Disturb and stepped outside. The air had that damp hint before rain. I locked the front door, slid the key into my pocket, and walked to my truck. As I pulled away, her message status changed to read. 10 minutes later, another call came through to voicemail. I let it sink into the phone the same way the ocean takes everything you give it. By the time her headlights hit the front of the house, I was 6 miles away, steering toward Dean's place with a bag on the seat and no interest in theater. If there's a moment when you change from a man who negotiates to a man who acts, it happens without confetti. It's just a turn signal, and you make it. I slept at Dean's as if sleep was a job I had to be decent at. In the morning, I drove to my shop early, opened the big door, and started on work orders like the world hadn't tilted. Erin called at 7:03, 7:12, 7:15. I let the calls stack up until my phone looked like a stubborn alarm. At 8, she texted, "We need to talk. Please." I made coffee and sent one message. "Papers are on the table. Read the note." She showed up at the shop at 9:40, breathing fast but composed, like she'd practiced lines in the car. Marta saw her through the glass and stayed in her office. Erin walked right to my bench. "What is this?" She held up a photo on her phone of the envelope. "What are you doing?" Ending it with dignity, I answered. "Based on what? A message? You jumped to a conclusion because I wanted a night with a friend?" I rinsed a cup. "You left at 2 in the morning 2 nights ago. You drove to the highway and turned off at the neon that hums. People aren't that creative when they're innocent." She blinked, recovered. "You followed me? Are you serious? That's stalking, Mark. That's insane. It's called confirmation. You don't even know what you saw. I know enough. You're married to me. You don't surveil me. You talk to me." I did. For months. Then for days. Then for hours. Now I'm doing something else. She lowered her voice, as if volume could change math. "This is a mistake. We've had a rough patch. Rough patch is tone and chores. Rough patch isn't motel keys at 2 in the morning. You're being cruel. I'm being clear." She changed tactics. "We can fix this. Counseling, whatever you want. I'll do any weekend you want. I'll stop joking. I'll stop bargaining with a house you've already sold. You don't get to be judge and jury. I do when I'm drawing my own boundary." She stared at me like she could will me back into the old script. "I left because I felt ignored. I just wanted attention. That's all. You wanted options, I corrected. You wanted the comforts here and the thrill there. You wanted me to carry the bills while you carried secrets. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't put anything in your mouth. That was last night." She slapped the bench lightly, a sound of metal on palm. "You humble me in front of your staff and your friends. You leave these papers like a trap, and I'm the one without respect." Marta opened her office door with the timing of an umpire who knows when to break up benches. "Mark, truck guy is here for the intake." She looked at Erin and didn't move. Erin stepped back, eyes on me. "If you do this, you blow up everything we built." "No," I said. "You did. I'm just not sweeping up." She swallowed. "I need to get my things. You can, when I'm home. Text me a window. I'll be there. We won't be alone." "You're ridiculous. I'm safe. I'm not a threat," she hissed. "You're a liability." Her face changed. That word hit the truth she didn't want named. Liability is what you call something you keep paying for after you stop using it. She wrapped her arms around herself and glanced at Marta again. Fighting in front of an observer suddenly wasn't fun. "Answer my calls," she said, last push. I won't. You can't just shut me out. I can. And I am. She stood a second longer, then turned on her heel and left. The door swung shut, the bell on it giving that cheap store jingle that makes everything feel smaller. Marta waited a beat, stepped to the bench, and put down a slip. You need me to call Dean if she circles back? I'm fine. You're not fine, she said softly. But you're steady. That's enough, I said. She nodded, went back to her office, and the shop went on humming. People still need breaks, no matter whose life is on fire. That night, I drove to the house, texts unread, 25 of them, stacked like lumber. I walked in, collected the envelope, added a copy of the spreadsheet with the account split, and left the note in place. I took my photos off the wall and boxed the ones that were mine before we met. I changed the password on the home Wi-Fi and the garage keypad. I removed my name from her gas account and set my own. I slept at Dean's again. She called 3 more times. I let the phone work for me. You want results? Here's the tidy part. The property division was less messy than people fear when you've done your homework. House was in my name before we married, title clean. We'd refinanced once. I handled the difference. The shop was mine. She never signed anything there. Vehicles were separate. Accounts got split by the spreadsheet like adults do things when they don't dress them up as poetry. I kept what I built. She kept what she brought. Clean. No glory, no theater. 3 months later, I ran into her at the grocery store, the one with the smaller parking lot and the better apples. I was with Hannah, a woman I met through a supplier, one calm adult who likes mornings and silence that doesn't need to be filled. Erin was standing in the paper goods aisle, scanning prices like reading tea leaves. She looked up and froze. Mark, she said finally. Hey, I answered. Hannah, comfortable in her own skin, nodded. Hi, I'm going to grab seltzer. Down 2, left, I told her, and she walked on. Erin's eyes flicked to my cart. Meat, greens, a bag of good coffee. Then to me. You look busy. Working, I said. That's my hobby. How are you? She asked, a phrase that means tell me if I'm wrong about your collapse. Solid. She inhaled like she wanted to deploy a big speech, but had lost the props. I moved in with Kara for a bit. It's been complicated. Hope you land somewhere decent. I will, she said too quick. How's the shop? Busy. She glanced at Hannah in the distance. And she's? Good to me, I said. I'm good to her. That's the whole trick. Right, she muttered. Listen, about everything. I wish it hadn't gone the way it did. It went the way it had to. I didn't think you'd actually, she stopped. You know? I know. She found a smile she didn't owe me. Well, you look better. I am. We stood a second in the white light of a place that sells bleach and cereal. 2 people who had lived in the same house and now shared nothing but a zip code. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the only nervous move she had left. I should go, she said. Rent's due. Don't be late. I answered. She laughed a little, then stopped when she realized I meant it as a simple wish for adulthood, not a joke. She pushed her cart away without looking back. On the way out, Hannah handed me a bottle of seltzer like a handoff in a clean relay. You all right? I am, I told her. First time I've meant that in a while. We drove to my house, and carried the bags inside. The place felt bigger without the tension that used to sit on the furniture. Dean came by later with a toolbox I'd left in his garage and stayed for a beer we didn't romanticize. We stood on the back step, talked about nothing that would trend, and watched my dog patrol a yard that belonged to me. I sleep well now. Not because I won the argument. You don't win arguments like that. You just stop having them. I eat better. I work cleaner. I drive where I want when I want without a narrator riding shotgun. There's a second toothbrush in my bathroom you don't have to interrogate. People ask if I'm angry. Not really. Anger is a hobby for people who want to keep a membership. I canceled mine. The last thing I said to Erin was the last thing she needed to hear. This was your choice, not mine. And it was. Respect isn't a negotiation. It's a condition. The day it disappears, you don't light candles and hug.